This was never about peace, forgiveness, or family. This was a full-scale royal shakedown wrapped in Christmas paper. And when the envelope landed at Sandringham, the monarchy knew the gloves were off. December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. While Britain was bracing for carols and courtesies, a private courier slipped into Sandringham with a letter that detonated like a silent bomb. No press release, no warning. Just a document so bold, so transactional, so nakedly demanding that senior palace aides froze mid-stride. This wasn't a son writing to his father. This was leverage. This was pressure. This was war by stationery. The signature read Henry Charles Albert David, but everyone inside the palace knew immediately whose fingerprints were really all over it. The tone was sleek, legal, emotionally weaponized. The kind of language that doesn't ask, it invoices. And the timing? Surgical. Hours after the Sussex Netflix Christmas special aired, flopped, and got ripped apart in real time, this letter arrived like a follow-up invoice demanding payment for humiliation. Inside, the demands were breathtaking. Not reconciliation, recompense. Annual financial support equivalent to their pre-exit royal funding, adjusted for inflation. Restoration of a crown funded UK residents. Permanent access to royal jewelry. A $5 million yearly child well-being provision. Security, status, symbolism, all framed as emotional necessity, all dressed up as fairness, all delivered while the king was battling cancer and preparing for Christmas with his family. Palace insiders didn't miss the choreography. 2 days before the Sandringham Christmas luncheon, maximum emotional pressure, minimum time to breathe. One source described it bluntly. This was a hostage letter with a velvet font. And here's the thing no one in California wanted acknowledged. The monarchy had already tried silence. Gray rocking, non-engagement, years of it. But this letter wasn't trying to reopen a door. It was trying to kick it down with paperwork. When aides escalated the contents to the king and the Prince of Wales, the reaction wasn't explosive. It was colder than that. It was the sound of patience finally snapping into resolve. The letter framed everything as injustice, Meghan's distress, media persecution, the unbearable burden of maintaining brand value while raising children in Montecito. The implication was clear: the crown owed them financially, symbolically, historically. But to the palace, it read like something else entirely: a settlement demand from people who had already quit the job. One senior courtier put it plainly: you don't resign and then demand the pension, the office, the uniform, and the crown jewels back. And yet, that's exactly what this letter tried to do. Buried in its pages was the first red alert clause, the demand for a UK base, specifically Frogmore Cottage. Not nostalgia, not sentiment. Control. A physical foothold inside Windsor. A way back onto royal ground, legally and symbolically, without doing a single day of service. To insiders, it wasn't a home request, it was a flag plant. Then came the jewelry. The Queen Mary's bandeau tiara, the one worn once, briefly, and returned, suddenly reappeared in the Sussex wish list, framed as a bridge between tradition and modern advocacy. Translation? Legitimacy. Visual authority. A royal glow to prop up fading relevance on international stages. One palace historian reportedly scoffed, "You don't borrow the vault for personal branding." By the time King Charles reached the child allowance section, the temperature in the room changed completely. $5 million per year for children living in California, framed as generational equity, paid quarterly, with proposed trusts, travel grants, ceremonial inclusion, and visibility in royal communications when appropriate. That was the moment the letter stopped being shocking and became unacceptable. According to multiple insiders, the king scribbled 3 words in the margin and closed the folder. No, not constitutional. That single note ended years of hesitation. Because here's the truth the Sussex camp didn't want acknowledged: the monarchy can absorb scandal, survive criticism, and endure public discomfort. What it cannot survive is precedent. And this letter tried to create the most dangerous precedent of all: privilege without duty. By midday on December 24th, Sandringham wasn't emotional, it was operational. A private meeting. Senior advisors. The Prince of Wales. The Princess Royal. No shouting. No drama. Just clarity. Every demand declined. No residences. No money, no jewels, no security, no negotiation, and more importantly, no more communication. For the first time, King Charles authorized a complete freeze. Not a pause, not distance, a closure. All future correspondence from the Sussex household would be routed through legal channels only. No personal replies, no emotional engagement. The family line was officially severed from the institution. Prince William's position was described as immovable. Any concession, he warned, would invite escalation manipulation, blackmail by narrative, and permanent damage to the crown's credibility. Princess Anne reportedly backed him without hesitation, reinforcing a principle the monarchy had lived by for centuries: heritage is not a commodity. By Christmas Eve night, the decision was final, and the Sussex, silent, no statement, no leak, no Instagram post. Just a pause, the kind that signals recalculation, not surrender. Because while the palace had chosen closure, everyone knew the story wasn't over. It was simply leaving royal hands. This wasn't a family dispute anymore. It was the end of royal participation in the Sussex narrative, and Christmas morning was about to make that official. Christmas morning, December 25th, 2025. While Britain was still half asleep, wrapping paper scattered across living room floors, a sealed envelope left Sandringham House under tight protocol. No cameras, no announcement, no sentiment, just finality. Inside that envelope was not a reply, it was a declaration. At exactly 10:00 a.m., the monarchy did what it almost never does with its own blood: it closed the file permanently. The document was precise, restrained, and devastating in its calm. No royal residence would ever again be granted or restored. No security protocols reinstated. No ceremonial access. No jewels. No privileges. Every benefit once attached to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex was now considered fully lapsed by voluntary abdication of duty. Not suspended. Not paused. Expired. Signed first by King Charles III. Countersigned by William, Prince of Wales. 2 generations, 1 decision. Insiders say the real moment happened the night before, behind closed doors in the king's private study at Sandringham. A 2-hour conversation. No aides, no phones, just a father and a son confronting the future of the institution and the cost of sentiment. Charles hesitated, not because he doubted the logic, but because he understood the personal consequence. Cutting off Harry meant accepting that reconciliation might never come, that future grandchildren might grow up as strangers, that history would judge him not as a father, but as a monarch. William didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He laid out the pattern. Each concession had led to escalation. Each silence had been filled with accusation. Each attempt at grace had been repackaged as weakness. He warned that the latest letter wasn't an endpoint. It was a blueprint for endless leverage. This isn't about one couple, he reportedly said. This is about whether the monarchy can still say no. That sentence changed everything. By dawn, the declaration was drafted, vetted, and registered. Circulated quietly to Clarence House, Kensington Palace, Windsor, and every operational arm of the crown. From that moment forward, any contact from Harry or Meghan would be handled only by legal affairs. No private messages, no emotional channels, no family intermediaries. The door wasn't slammed. It was removed from the building. Inside palace corridors, aides described the mood as strangely calm, almost relieved. Years of tension of anticipating the next documentary, the next book, the next bombshell had finally ended in clarity. The monarchy had chosen immunity over appeasement, and Prince William emerged unmistakably as the architect of that clarity. Over the holiday week, he convened quiet strategy sessions with legal teams, communications heads, and international liaisons, not to attack, but to inoculate. Contracts were reviewed, language tightened, residual Sussex references removed from youth initiatives, educational programs, and archival materials. Not erased, but detached. Princess Catherine stood firmly beside him, overseeing messaging and appearances with surgical restraint. No defensiveness, no commentary, silence, refined into policy. Meanwhile, Princess Anne did what she has always done best: enforce memory. On Christmas Day morning, she convened senior staff and issued a directive that would define 2026 and beyond: no contact, no correspondence, no compromise. They may speak, she reportedly said. We will not echo. This wasn't cruelty. It was containment. Across the Atlantic, the silence from Montecito was deafening. No statement, no denial, no Instagram quote about healing or boundaries. Palace media advisors believed the quiet wasn't peace, it was regrouping, because leaks don't stop when access does. They just change shape. By the final week of December, U.S. newsrooms were already circling. Requests for royal archive footage, inquiries about 2019-2021 events, whispers of a Revelation-style project. The narrative machine was warming up, but this time there would be no royal reaction to fuel it. That was the real shift. For decades, the monarchy had survived by absorbing blows and responding with restraint. Now it had chosen a harder discipline: non-participation. The Sussex story could continue, but without the crown's oxygen. Inside Sandringham, King Charles delivered a brief, unscripted toast at Christmas lunch. Few expected him to speak given his health, but when he did, the words landed heavy. "We have loved, we have waited, we have endured," he said. "Now we must protect, not out of fear, but out of duty." Those close to him say the decision strengthened him rather than weakened him. That choosing the institution over emotion clarified something he had wrestled with for years. He may be haunted as a father, but he will be remembered as a monarch who drew the line. As evening fell and chapel bells rang across the estate, the royal family gathered beneath portraits of ancestors whose scandals once rocked the crown and then faded into history. For Charles and William, this Christmas marked something different, not reconciliation, closure. Just 48 hours after Harry's letter arrived, the monarchy had responded with a doctrine now quietly referred to inside palace walls as the Sandringham doctrine. Voluntary exit means voluntary forfeiture. Heritage cannot be monetized without service. Emotion does not override constitutional structure. Its implications are vast. Legal teams are already reinforcing future safeguards. The Royal Collection Trust is preparing clarifications on jewel access. Protection units have updated non-employment directives. Every operational corner has been aligned around one truth. The Sussex chapter no longer intersects with the institution. And perhaps most telling of all, there has been no attempt to soften the message. No olive branches, no back channels, no sources close to the king. The monarchy has chosen to let the silence speak. As 2025 closes, the House of Windsor stands leaner, more disciplined, and unmistakably united. Harry and Meghan may still speak. They may still write. They may still produce another glossy holiday special. But they will do so without access, without reply, and without the symbolic power they once wielded. This time, the crown isn't arguing. It's moved on. It's moved on. It's moved on.